Hello, everybody, and welcome to Countdown to Super Bowl 55 with Sarina Fazan. I'm Brendan McLaughlin with Frank Robertson. You're probably wondering, where's Sarina Fazan? Good question. She's out at the Convention Center in Tampa, where the media get credentialed, where the media center will be. So we'll talk about that more in a moment. But first, let me say hi to Frank Robertson.
This is the first time we've known each other a long time.
Yeah.
We work for different TV stations, so this is the first time we've ever been on camera together.
If I wasn't wired up, I'd run over there and give you a hug.
Would you really?
I would.
And I would embrace that. I would embrace your embrace.
Frank Robertson with Fox 13. I like to say Fox 13.
Yeah.
For many, many years, and I was with ABC Action News. And many a time after the 11 o'clock news, we would meet out behind the Kmart for a rumble. Just like an anchorman.
Like an anchorman. Yeah, right. I know what you're saying.
But thanks for being here. You know more about sports than I do. This is an unbelievably exciting and certainly unprecedented event coming up in 6 days.
It is the 5th Super Bowl that Tampa Bay will have hosted. The first one was back in 1984. That was the Raiders and the Washington football team, as it's now known.
Yes. Right.
1991 Super Bowl 25, the Giants and the Bills. I got to go to that one.
Yeah. What did you pay for your ticket?
$150, and that was actually the face value at that time. Now, it wasn't a premium seat, it was north end zone, but I got to be there.
Right,
Whitney Houston, the whole thing. And you know, of course they're worried about security with this Super Bowl for obvious reasons.
Sure.
But in that year, that was when Desert Storm was going on. You had MacDill, the home of CENTCOM and General Schwarzkopf, right?
Yeah.
So I remember there being huge concrete barricades put up outside then Houlihan's or Tampa Stadium, the old sombrero.
Sure.
And so the security was extraordinary. That was the first one that was like that. Now it's commonplace, obviously.
And a tremendous feeling of solidarity, because we were a country at war, and it had only been formalized about 2 weeks ahead of time. The next Super Bowl after that, I think 2009.
Actually, there was one in 2001, following the 2001,
that's right.
2001. That was the Giants and the Ravens. Mm-hmm. That's when Trent Dilfer came back to bite us in the...
That's right.
He was the Ravens quarterback. And then it was the Cardinals and the Steelers in 2009.
Right. And that was in the teeth of the recession. That was another kind of a difficult time for the country.
Sure.
So, and look at us here in
a pandemic.
In 2021, in a global pandemic. Mm-hmm. And Tampa is going to be the focus of so many millions of people around the world. On an uplifting note, no doubt about it.
Well, to have the Bucs in the Super Bowl, and I mean, I'm a Bucs fan. But to be honest with you, if I were to be honest, and I will be, at the
that's what we pay you for.
At the beginning of the season, if you told me this would happen, no.
You're nuts.
Yeah, I just hope for the playoffs. But
yeah, well, that's why I think the Bucs are definitely going to win, because it's just nuts. I mean, the story's got to play out.
It's serendipitous. It really is. Yeah,
and that's the perfect thing. We had the pleasure of talking with Sarina Fazan, who brought in a couple of special guests earlier this morning. Jim Prevotero, head of security and stadium operations at the Tampa Bay Rays, formerly an assistant police chief with the St. Petersburg Police. And of course, he's very much an expert on security in big, high-profile situations like this.
He may not have mentioned this, former Secret Service.
That's right. That's right. So he's got a deep background in law enforcement.
Yeah.
Also, Andrew Warren, the state attorney for Hillsborough County, who also was a federal prosecutor in Washington, D.C. with intelligence and also street crimes at the beginning of his career. He was here to talk about some of the prosecutorial issues, the top concerns in terms of terrorism, human trafficking, and even things as relatively mundane as ticket scalping, which is just probably always going to be with us in some form or another. So let me show you a clip of a little bit of our discussion with Jim Prevotero and State Attorney Andrew
Social distance as far as events over in the Bay Area, over in Pinellas County. So, and other counties, Pasco. So, you gotta. It's really a challenging time. I give a lot of credit to Andrew and to the guys that are in there leading the law enforcement effort, because it's going to be challenging. I guarantee you, when this is over, and hopefully after the Bucks victory celebration is over, that Andrew and Chief Duke and all them are going to take a couple days to rest, because this is going to be a taxing experience.
Well, to that point, maybe he won't, because your pipeline of prosecutions and offenders after the Super Bowl could be enormous, between everything from scalpers to human traffickers to Johns to people who violate COVID restrictions. How is your office situated in terms of resources to deal with what will probably be a huge increase in cases?
Well, we're prepared to handle that influx of cases over the next couple of weeks. I appreciate Jim's point, but I just want to remind people that when there's a security issue here, we naturally turn to the men and women in uniform, not the men and women wearing suits with their legal book. So law enforcement is the one who's on the points of contact and the first line of defense for all this. And if you think back to 9/11, recall that right after 9/11, there were conversations about the fact that law enforcement didn't share information, and there wasn't this platform to share information to prevent those attacks. In the 20 years since, law enforcement's done a really good job, and Jim made this point earlier. Our local law enforcement here works extremely well together. From municipal law enforcement and the sheriffs and the police agencies, police departments, to state law enforcement, to the feds. These guys are all working together. They have been for over a year now. It's really a good thing when you look at how much cooperation and collaboration there is, because it is a massive event. And it's a massive event taking place not just in one location, but in multiple locations with a variety of potential threats there.
And again, that was Andrew Warren, the state attorney for Hillsborough County, and Jim Privatera, head of security and stadium operations for the Tampa Bay Rays. The kind of thing that keeps both of those guys awake at night is the possibility, of course, of a terrorism attack. And they went on to talk about how traditionally, or at least since 9/11, of course, foreign actors were the main focus, Islamic jihadists and so on. But that, of course, has evolved since the Murrah Federal Building bombing, Timothy McVeigh in Oklahoma City, and then even more recently with the rise of some of these white nationalist groups,
January 6th.
and so on, and what happened at the Capitol January 6th. They feel like they have a broader, in some ways, terrorist threat than ever.
And you get the feeling, with all that on the table, I think they'll be more prepared than ever for any eventuality. And I really don't think, when you think of a sporting event like the Super Bowl, now we're not going to have 70,000 people in the stadium. We'll have, 22, 23,000, something like that.
Right. About a third capacity.
Right, so it's not the huge event, but it's still a huge global event. And they've taken a lot of steps. For example, I just saw this morning that drone traffic will not be allowed anywhere near the stadium. And there's stuff they won't tell us, and they shouldn't.
Yeah, no.
Don't tip anybody off.
It's true. And the other security issue is the COVID thing, of course, and that's the reason why there's fewer than 30,000 people in the stadium. The events at the NFL Experience in Curtis Hickson Park and at Julian B. Lane Park are very tightly regulated, outdoor mask mandate. But the biggest concern among the health community for events like this is not necessarily these public events or the game itself, but the smaller gatherings that people are going to be having at their homes.
Right.
And that's where the guard comes down, the mask comes off. I should point out that Frank and I are not only distant 6 feet here, we're the only ones in the studio, but we're kind of in the same bubble because we're social friends and we hang. So
That is absolutely true.
give me one of these.
I will.
All right, well, Sarina Fazan, again, is out at the Convention Center in Tampa. She's making contact. She's talking to folks, getting ready for the big day. She's going to have a series of podcasts between now and Super Bowl Sunday. That's why they call it Countdown to Super Bowl 55. Sarina will have some of her interviews and video from today in an upcoming podcast. So I want to thank Frank Robertson. And
Thank you, my friend.
Yeah, I'm Brendan McLaughlin. So let's look forward to Sarina's next podcast. Thanks for joining us.
O negative blood is the universal blood donor. It goes to trauma victims, it goes to newborn babies, and everybody else. Blood is always needed. You always need it no matter what. And I just know that I'm helping at least 3 people with 1 unit of blood, that I'm able to save lives. I'm universal. I'm unique. I'm O negative. Are you?
Efforts of a lot of people